Never done the international barbecue circuit. We've talked about it a lot,
Well,
but never done it.
it's time.
We
Cue the
are too
mic.
tired.
Goes international.
I'm Darren,
And I'm Emma.
and welcome to Cue the Mic.
And welcome to Cue the Mic.
You know, that's the hardest
That's-
part about shooting a
Yeah.
podcast is the
Sorry.
intro,
Yeah,
right,
it really
Emma?
is. Yeah, I can't
Emma,
stop giggling.
actually, Emma, the hardest part about anything, we've shot a ton of videos together, and we're getting ready to shoot a serious video, and Emma starts cracking up.
I just can't take it.
10.
I can't.
She
I just
ca-
can't take you serious. It's just every time you get like your serious face, I laugh. It's just I'm not sure why, but
I'll
I
try
just
not to.
can't take.
I
it
try not to be
serious.
serious.
Or even when you do funny stuff, it's funny. Can't help it. Just a giggly gal.
Okay, so what are we talking about today?
Well, I thought we could get into barbecue competitions and kind of you getting into details about what that's like for you and kind of how that experience is, because I know last week we kind of talked about how barbecue competitions started Smoky D's Barbecue, but I thought we could just kind of talk about or give people an insight on what barbecue competitions are for you, because you've been doing them for it'll be 20 years this year, so that's a long time to be.
A long
It's a
time.
long
20
time to
years.
be doing that stuff. 20 years. That's most of my life.
Yeah. The one thing I've found out about barbecue competitions, as we used to do 40 contests a year. There's only 52 weeks. 40 out of 52 weeks, we'd be doing contests, and it was just secondhand. And as I get older, I find out that barbecue stuff is really heavy. Boxes of wood and meat. It just didn't seem like it was heavy before, but it's heavy.
It's heavy.
It's gruesome. Loading trailers and stuff. It's quite. It's almost a sport.
Yeah, and I'm sure your liver also appreciates the fact that you've kind of cut back a little bit from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Sounds like
yeah,
those are
yeah.
just a weekends of good times.
This year, we've had a lot of fun on the barbecue
Lot of
circuit.
fun
Probably
overs.
more fun than we should be allowed to.
Yeah. I mean, 3 days of just hanging out with your pals most of the time, right? Give or take.
Yeah, sometimes 4 days. It just depends.
Yeah. Yeah, it just depends. So
It's still my way away from the restaurant, right?
yeah.
It's
Right.
it's like competition barbecue was for my corporate job. It was my getaway. And
Yeah.
it's still my getaway, except for now it's related.
Yeah. I'd say your passion, so to speak. The restaurant just was something that came out of it, but I think it's good. And I think it's interesting because I feel like every time we or you come back, you got a story of some sort. So I think and people it's a growing hobby. So I think it'd be interesting for people to kind of learn, myself included, just kind of what that is like, like all the work that goes into it. Like you were just talking about how you had a barbecue competition here in Altoona last weekend, or however long it'll be after this goes out. But you had a barbecue competition in Altoona, and at 4:30 in the morning it was snowing, and just kind of having to be out there doing that and working in that weather, while the rest of us were probably sleeping, enjoying the warmth of our homes. So
Yeah, it is. And maybe we start kind of like a timeline. People sometimes don't understand. Barbecue cooks do that. Listen, though, this will be boring, and you can just fast forward about 2 or 3 minutes here. But for the normal, barbecue is if you're competing in a barbecue contest, it's a week long process, you know. So I'm going to start on Monday, you know, and usually I'm going to trim some meat on Monday, whether it's, you know, you got pork and ribs and brisket and chicken. So you try, instead of spending, you know, it's going to take probably 3 hours, maybe 4 hours total to trim all your meat. So you can either try and knock it all out in one day, or you try and spread it up, you know. So you got to trim your meat. That's a
Mm-hmm.
full 4 hours. You got to make
Yeah.
sauces, rubs, injections. You know, that's going to take a good hour. Um, and you know, you got to load the trailer, which normally takes anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours, depend. You got to, just all the ancillary stuff. You got to fill the trailer full of water, and you got to make sure you got charcoal and pellets and wood, and fill the coolers, and just getting ready to go. And so you think about that, you know, a lot of times, and then you got to travel. You know, we were lucky. Altoona, we're only 2 miles from our house, shortest ever. But the last contest was in Nashville, so you got 14 hours you're adding onto each side of that trip. So it just becomes a whole week commitment of, and you know, and it's not like you just get up in the morning and say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and trim meat. No, you still got to go to the restaurant. You still do it. And then at night is kind of get ready to go to barbecue competition.
Right. Right. So yeah. So you kind of touched base on, obviously, that whole schedule. Can you kind of give us like the day of, like, let's say you had a competition on Saturday, like how that kind of looks?
Sure. So normally we're going to arrive either Thursday night. Depends. If it's a fun
Yeah.
competition that a lot of friends are coming from around the country, you know, we're probably going to show up on Thursday so that we can have a little libations on Thursday night, a little fun and fellowship. Or we're going to go out and find a local dive restaurant to eat. And then
Surprise,
Friday we're
surprise
getting
for
up.
a foodie.
Surprise for a foodie. But yep. So then we get up Friday morning, sometimes way early. Sometimes I'm pretty early all the time, but
Yeah.
get up, or, you know, a Friday we're tending to go find the local breakfast dive. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And
I
then
wonder how many times you'll say that while we have a podcast.
probably every time.
So
because
far,
it
we're
is.
at once an episode.
And so then we'll get up and we'll start. Not only now you're on site, so when you show up at the site, you can't inject your meat. You can't rub, you know, put any rub on it or anything until you get to the site. So you get inspected, and then you'll start that process. So normally I'll start that process at 2:00 on a Friday afternoon. We'll start injecting briskets and pork butts. It'll move brining our chicken, and then we'll move 4 and 5 o'clock at night. We're gonna, you know, I'll go back, take the chicken out of the brine, get the seasoning on the meat, put it all to bed, and then we're kind of free for the night. Do whatever. Kind of a cardinal rule. Always try and be in bed by 9 o'clock on a Friday night, because nothing good ever happens at a barbecue competition after 9 o'clock. Sometimes I break that rule, but for the most part, I try and, you know, Friday nights, 2 drinks and in bed by 9.
That's responsible.
And then we wake up on Saturday morning. You know, normally that's 4:30 in the morning. Get up, light the pit, get the meat out of the refrigerator, let it start coming up to temp. Just watch the pit, pour a cup of coffee. Best time of that's the best time of a barbecue competition. It's just quiet, and the smoke's just starting to roll in the air. Nobody's bugging you. That's kind of reflection time. Hopefully it's nice out, so you can sit outside, unlike this past weekend where it was 18 degrees and snowing and 50-mile-an-hour winds. That was not the most ideal.
Very Iowa.
Very, very Iowa. Yeah, we were in shorts and 80 degrees on Friday, and on Saturday morning it was wind chill of 18 degrees that morning. Yeah, it was.
But then,
it was,
I mean,
it
but
was
then
pretty
by
interesting.
Saturday afternoon, it was sunny and 75 again.
Sunny, and yeah, it was 60 degrees, but still we were.
Yeah.
But after we got done cooking, so we kind of fought the elements. So, you know, we'll get the meat on starting at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. We're cooking meat all morning long. We start turn-ins. We're doing chicken at 12, ribs at 12:30, pork at 1, brisket at 1:30. Then we're going into massive cleanup mode, trying to get everything ready so that we don't have to clean the trailer when you get home. Get it all, you know, Sherry gets it all spotless, all shined up, and all the cabinets and we get the dishes done and everything, get everything put away, then go to awards, and we're most likely on our way home.
But yeah, that's pretty nice. It's a nice little schedule that you have, and consistent, which is always fun. For the most part. What was my question? So yeah, you kind of give us that day by day. I've always been curious what your favorite part of the day is, because you're out there for so long, and most of the time you're always talking about hanging out with your buddies.
And we are, like, when the pits are coming up in the morning, it just depends who your buddies are.
Yeah.
Who's at the contest. So, when it comes to competition barbecue, there's really 2 or 3 different schools. So I'm a stick burner, right? So I've got to tend that fire every 30 minutes. There's the gateway drum guys, or the drum smokers, that cook on garbage cans. And so they're able to get up later. They cook really hot and fast. So they're getting up at 7 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning, getting their stuff going, at 7 o'clock, where I've got meat on at 5:30 in the morning. So they're not very social. They're sleeping in. They're the guys that tend to stay out late. And then there's the gravity fed people that just kind of cook all night long and get up whenever they want to. So if you're cooking on a Jambo like I do, you got to throw a stick every half hour. So you really got to pay attention to your temperature and your fire so that you don't lose your fire. So you got to be pretty focused. But in the meantime, there's time in the morning to just kind of sit in the lawn chair and hang out and watch the temperature gauge and, see what's new and exciting in the world.
Yeah. So since there's so many different ways to, smoke the meat, it sounds like, do you think does that like affect, obviously it affects the taste a little bit, I'm sure, but, you've kind of made comments in the past about how you kind of feel like it's changing. Do you think, like the barbecue competition world's kind of adapting and changing? Do you think that the way that they're smoking, does that do that, or is that a dumb question?
It's changed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. So when we started 20 years ago, there was no internet. I mean, there was internet, but there was no Facebook.
Right.
There was no social media. There was no TikTok. There was nothing.
Yeah.
And so you had to really be at a competition barbecue to learn about it. So that was our learning time. We were always just trying to figure out what talking through with people, or trying to sneak over their shoulder and peek to see what they were doing. And that's how you learned. Today it's kind of changed because there's so many barbecue classes out there.
Right.
Every top barbecue cook in the country has a class. And there's people that have taken just a lot of these classes. Now, I've never had a class. I went to one class once. I went to Johnny Trigg and Rod Gray's class years ago, 2003. I really didn't pay attention because Rod Gray and I we're still really good friends, but we cooked a lot the same. So I really had nothing to learn. I didn't really pay for it. I got to go kind of for free, but I've never put on a class. If you talk to Sherry, people ask me all the time, when are you going to have a class? And my answer is, Sherry says I have no class.
Oh, jeez.
So it's just one of those things that we've just never had the desire to do, but what's changed is, especially like things like this weekend, if somebody's good at something via the textbook, they're following a timeline to an exactee, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, if your exactee, if your schedule means that the weather outside is 75 and sunny, and now this morning it's 18 degrees and 50-mile-an-hour winds, things are probably going to change on your schedule. So you find a lot of newer cooks that have went to a lot of classes and learned a lot of things aren't really that great when shit goes bad, right? And shit does go bad. I mean, I have my best days when something goes wrong and I have to react.
Hence the first competition you've ever been at.
the exactly why I'm there. But and
So
that's what I
yeah,
love about it. But
yeah. Well, I just think it's interesting that those are the days, like the days that the day you thought you were gonna quit was your first day because it was nothing was going your way, and now that's when you thrive. I just find that really interesting. You've just kind of
yeah,
grown to
it's
being an adapter.
yeah, you have to be. You have to be. And I think that's what makes, kind of having a restaurant somewhat easy because,
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
when you walk in the back door, all you got to do is expect three things are going to be broke. We may have talked about that last time, but just walk in and say, "Hey, three things are going to be broke." And when only two things are broke, what a great day. Right.
Right. Which, yeah, and I feel like there's always 4 or 5 when you come back on a Monday after you've been gone all weekend. But it's a good mindset to have.
Yeah. It's
Um,
good. Just expect that things are going to break.
yeah, yeah. Um, how many competitions have you done so far this year?
I think I'm trying to think of the ones.
Because
I
you
think
were
I've
down
only
in
done
Florida
two for some reason.
too.
Oh yeah, you know what? I've done three. So I did Florida with all my buddies. We kind of
Yeah,
cooked all together.
yeah,
Didn't do worth a crap.
it happens.
Not sure why we won it last year. And then I go to Nashville, and so
Mm-hmm.
Nashville hates me. Okay, the town just hates me. I mean, I've cooked 4 contests in Nashville,
Mm-hmm.
and that means the potential for 16 different calls, we call them, a walk to
Yeah.
the stage. I've gotten one. 10th
Huh.
place chicken one time. They just hate my food there.
Is it that competition? Well, wasn't the Jack Daniel competition last year in Nashville? Does that move?
Well, no, it's in Lynchburg, so it's just south of Nashville.
Just Tennessee.
So,
Got it.
and they like my food at Lynchburg,
Yeah,
but Nashville,
just Nashville.
they just hate my food. It's just Nashville, and I don't know why, because I think I have really good food when I'm turning it in.
Right.
And I was running solo. Usually in Nashville, I'm running solo. So Sherry
Mm-hmm.
doesn't go. She's not much for 14-hour rides anymore. And the weather was supposed to be windy and crappy. But I was still in the mood to barbecue, so I went by myself.
Yeah.
And maybe my good luck charm staying at home's not helped me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And then yeah, you had the one out too. No, do you have one this coming weekend? Or
No,
soon?
we don't have one on the schedule, and not for probably another month. It's time to my tan's starting to fade.
Wow.
So
I was gonna
I
say
thought
we
we
can
need
get
to go
so
to
many
Florida next
podcast
week.
episodes in. I was gonna say we get so many podcast episodes in, and then next thing you know, you're gonna tell me you're on your way to an island of some sort. That seems to be how that goes. Please don't get any ideas. It's just
Hey, be lucky.
oh,
you
jeez.
got 2 in under a week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that is true. I am considering this a win. Um,
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. So in these competitions, have you had one thing that you've like what's your absolute favorite thing that you've turned in at these competitions? Is there any one thing?
Well, it's just we turn in the same. We turn the same thing
It's
every
always-
week, but but I've been
Yeah.
I've been so successful at brisket. I think we have
Right.
70 some brisket wins, and nobody in the country is even close to that.
That was a
And even
flex.
this weekend,
Right.
I probably cooked the worst brisket that I've cooked in 2 years. I
That's so
did not cook a good brisket. And of course I thought everything else was amazing. Right. And even
Right.
Sherry thought it was good, which is, if Sherry thinks it's good, it's got to be good. Right.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
we sat on our hands, and which our chicken, we thought, I bet Blaine at Porky Butts $20. He said, I'll bet you $20 your chicken hits top 5. I said, I'll take that bet. We got like 42nd out of 48th, and it was
That's
just
just-
really good. But my
That's-
brisket, which I thought was the worst category I turned in all day, we get 3rd in brisket.
Does that kind of affect how you go into like any other competitions or anything like that? Because obviously when you think you've done your best and you get 42nd, for me, I would think I am not good at this anymore. But not that I would quit. Mama didn't raise no quitter. But I would, have a setback. Does that ever affect, you going into the next competition, or are you kind of a it happens and forget it?
It never used to.
Mhm.
It's just shake it off, get ready for another one, whatever.
Yeah.
But the problem is, when you're doing 40 contests a year, you have a bad one,
Yeah.
shake it off. Let's go to the next one. You're too busy
Right.
to be focused on that. Well, now, when you're only cooking 15 times a year,
Right.
now you've got maybe 2 or 3 weeks in behind, after a contest.
Mhm.
Now it starts to kind of drag at you, going, "Why am I doing this? Why am I spending $1,000 a week, in meat and sauces and entry fees and travel? I mean, 1,000, 1,500 bucks a week easily. Why am I doing this? That
Mhm.
I could be sitting in a boat fishing. I could be, why?
Well,
But it just comes back to that
yeah.
passion.
Right. That's what I was gonna say.
You can't
You've
get enough of it.
Like you said in the beginning, it's just it's like I feel like you're addicted. So, I mean, I say
Maybe
that as I'm looking at all
Do you
your
think there's a
trophies.
10-step program? Do you think there's a 10-step program for that?
No, but I'm sure you're gonna start one when you're ready.
Yeah, I don't know. I just at some point it will become. What gets a little frustrating is I know how to cook good barbecue, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I know when I cook bad barbecue. I'll be the first to tell you when I cook bad barbecue. There's some
Yeah.
people out there that have never cooked anything bad in their life, right? And
Yeah.
I can cook bad barbecue on certain days. Things just don't go your way. The meat doesn't it just doesn't happen,
Right.
Well, those seem to be the days that my crappy meat scores, and when I really love a meat and thinks it's crazy good, then it's like middle of the pack. And so that's a little, so with social media what happens is about 2 hours after the contest you start scrolling through Facebook, and then you start seeing the newer teams
Right.
showing their entry boxes. And then I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? I got
How did
beat
that-
by that. And it may
Right.
be the best tasting stuff in the world,
It just doesn't
but
look as
I'm
good.
pretty sure some of the stuff that I've seen, I could toss my meat across the trailer into the box and make it look better than some of this stuff looks.
Right.
But scores.
It's not always about the looks.
It's
You know?
it's definitely not about the looks, because and if it is and if it's not, I've actually thought about shaking my box when I got to turn in, just kind of give it a jiggle and make stuff in disarray.
Just test it out. See what happens.
I mean, our judges going, wow, that guy's a professional. He's won too much. We're going to give it to somebody else. It just makes you wonder what's going on in a judge's mind when what I think is the worst brisket in the world
Yeah.
is
Well,
really the best thing
based
they had
off-
all day.
Yeah. Based off that theory, do you think that using, because you obviously go to some competitions with your buddies and you guys use different names and stuff, or you go help some of your friends and go under their names, do you think them not knowing you helps you more? Or is it
Well,
so
it's
when
all
they see
blind
that Iowa?
it's all blind judging anyway.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
it's not they don't know who's turning in what. I mean, it's double blind judging. So it's
Right.
not that way. I mean,
Right.
to me, it's more directional of if something looks perfect, is it scoring? I don't know. It just makes you think when what's wrong when the crap scores and the good stuff doesn't. And there's a lot of luck involved. I'll be the first to tell you. There's a lot of luck involved on what table you hit, and people they don't understand. Well, randomly you go to tables, and so there's 6 judges at every table. So if there's 36 teams, that means there's 6 tables. That means when I turn in chicken, my chicken could go to one of those 6 tables. Now,
Oh, interesting.
once I've been on a table, they're not going to send my ribs to that same table. It's going to go to a different table. But imagine a table sitting around with 6 grandmas. If you got 6 grandmas sitting around a table, you're probably not going to turn in anything spicy, right?
Yeah.
Or,
Mm-hmm.
whereas if you've got a table full of 6 beer drinking guys,
Yeah.
that you're not going to turn anything probably super sweet or bland. They're going to want some
Mm-hmm.
spice in their life. And so that's why in competition barbecue you kind of have to appeal to the masses.
Mm-hmm. That
Um,
makes sense.
because you want to be middle of the road. I mean, we always say just middle of the road barbecue wins because it can't be too spicy if you hit the
Right.
grandmas. It can't be too bland if you hit the guy. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's a mixture of all that. So you're trying to find a judge that picks up your food and baits it and says, "Wow, that tastes good." That's all you're looking for. You don't want them to go, "Wow." You don't want the wow factor.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like, but I mean, it just not what you would expect to hear, but not surprising at the same time. Um, because that makes sense. Because I would be one of those grandmas, and I wouldn't want something spicy, but I don't mind a little bit of kick. So yeah,
Right.
that
Right. So that's what we're trying to appeal for. So I don't know. It's
yeah,
kind of a frustrating game. I think it's probably more
yeah,
frustrating
it's
for me now that I don't do as much as I used to be. Because it used to be I
right.
was too busy to be frustrated. It's like, okay, go to the next one.
Do
Right.
you,
And we
and
knew.
do you think the amount of success that you've had kind of affects that too? Because, I mean, people
Oh,
know you're good. I'm sure you know you're good. I don't want to say you're good. Can't feel the ego too much, but
your
uh,
mom told you not to
yeah,
say I was
my
good.
mom told me that. I don't want to. Can't feel his ego too much, but you know, uh, does does it feel more frustrating now when you have those losses after you've seen all your success in the past and just and like you said, you obviously have time to think about it, but uh do you take that time to adjust, or are you just too busy running a restaurant to even
Uh, yeah, I
think
don't
about
I
it?
don't really adjust. I really don't practice. And probably my biggest thing is I used to be 100% engulfed in the competition barbecue world, right? So
Right. Mhm.
I knew exactly what was winning. I knew if I didn't win, I knew
Yeah.
what was winning every time. And now, been there, done that. I don't spend a lot of time researching. I haven't been to a class since 2003. So,
Well, yeah.
I'm sure tastes have changed,
Mhm.
and so I spend a little bit of time, but mainly with a small knit group of friends.
Mhm.
I tend to change stuff more often now, which doesn't help. I get
Okay.
bored cooking the same thing, so I'll just try this. Like this brisket this weekend, I kind
Mhm.
of ran a whole new injection. I ran a whole new rub combination, and it
Okay.
scores. You know, but it doesn't really matter because it's really turning in
Woo.
good food, but finding the
Right.
lucky table and hitting it.
Yeah. Because it's all a game of luck. Um, what you've been to a lot of places for barbecue competitions, right? I feel like there's just a list
Lots of places.
upon a list upon a list. Um, what do you think is probably your favorite place you've been so far? I'm just curious.
Mm.
Hard
It,
question.
it depends. It is because everyone kind of has a special place, kind of like
Right.
every trophy, right?
Yep.
Um,
The memories.
one of the most fun barbecue competitions we've done is down in Las Vegas on Fremont Street,
Oh, that would be pretty cool.
and everybody's kind of in a tent, small little
Mhm.
quaint. I mean, or we've been at high end resorts in Palm Springs and at the King of the Smoker, and that's
Yeah.
crazy good time too. But there's always a good time no matter what, and that's what we found is we used to go to competitions to win. Now we go to
Mhm.
competitions to have a good time. If a competition is not very good, we just don't go there anymore,
Yeah.
right? We
That
just
makes
go to the
sense.
fun ones. We go to the
Yeah.
fun ones.
Um, do you go to any new ones or have you just kind of stuck to the ones that you know?
No, I try and hit some new ones every year. We're looking at one towards the end of April down in Mississippi. We have some friends down there. We used to go to Hammond, Louisiana for years, and this is a couple hours away. We're looking at that one. You know, it's about a 12.5 hour jaunt, but still looks like a lot of fun. Big money, prize money, which doesn't really matter, but
Right.
you know, it's close enough that we can still probably go visit some friends in Hammond and have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, that just that I mean, I don't know if I could do 12 and a half hours with you. For you guys, I don't know if you know this, Darren doesn't listen to music.
Turn on the radio.
Yeah,
I never
he doesn't
turn on the
listen to
radio.
anything. Hopefully he'll start listening to, like our podcast, but he just likes to sit with his own thoughts, which is kind of scary. And I can see why Sherry doesn't go on the 14-hour ones anymore, because she just has to sit there and listen to Darren think out loud.
No, she reads.
I've done 2 hours. I've done 2 hours with Darren just thinking out loud, and it can be a lot. I couldn't imagine.
Well, that's
12
why
and a
we have
half
a
hours.
podcast, so
Right.
you're not the only one that has to hear it, right? Everybody
Right,
gets to
exactly.
hear what's on my
All
mind.
of you, all of our listeners and viewers get to hear what's on Darren's mind. You know, a barbecue competition I think you should go to, and you should take your social media gal, me, is that one in I think it's in I want to say Switzerland or Sweden.
Yeah.
It's in the in the Swiss Alps, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
oh, you showed. I think that would be fun. And I would even be willing to pay for a place to stay as long as you get me a first class ticket.
The
Okay,
one,
maybe not first class.
You're talking about the one that is cold and it snows and
In the mountains.
in the mountains.
In the mountains.
I don't think you could take it.
I live in the state of
think you'd-
Iowa. I think I
you'd
can
be
take
whining.
it.
I think you'd be whining how cold it is.
No, I actually don't mind the cold when I have the right amount of layers. And I've seen the Swiss Alps. I've ridden a train through them. I love them. I'd go back. I think we should do it.
Looks beautiful.
It does. I think that'd just be such a cool place to, and just the environment would be so unique because it's actually people from all around the world. Which
Yeah,
would
one
just
thing
be
we've
so
never
cool.
done. We've never done the international barbecue circuit. We've talked about it a lot,
Well,
but never done it.
It's time. Cue
We
the
are
mic.
two-time.
Goes international.
We are 2-time Canadian champions.
You are? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
We used to
jeez.
stop in Kenora, Ontario on the way back from fishing in June, and we do a competition barbecue, and I won it 2 years in a row. Trophy's probably right outside your office.
Probably is. Either that or it's above me right now.
Right. Exactly.
So
what
how
else?
many? Yeah. How many big competitions have you done like that? Because
I have
you've
no
got a couple
clue.
of world
I
titles,
have no
technically,
clues.
right?
Yeah.
How many world
5.
titles do you have? 5?
Five. Yeah.
It's 3 Royals, right?
1 Jack, 1 Houston.
The Houston one was the one I couldn't remember. Out of those big competitions, which one was probably the most exciting to win? I mean, I'm sure they're all the same, but there has to be one that
They
Won your
were
heart just a
exciting.
little bit more.
The American Royal. The American Royal was because it was our first World Championship. It
Yeah.
was crazy.
Right.
When you win the Jack Daniels, it's magical because they're playing "We Are the Champions" and you have all the international press there.
that would be insane.
That comes and converges on you and interviews.
Yeah.
That's pretty insane. But standing on Houston, I mean, you're standing on a stage in front of 50,000 people, and a guy from Iowa wins a Texas barbecue contest. That was just nuts. So they all have
They're all-
different levels
yeah.
of excitement. I can't tell you I've got a favorite.
That's fair. I can't remember which I think it was a Royal. I don't remember which year. We have a video. It's on our Smoke It East Facebook page. That I posted from years in the past. That is Sherry. You guys are waiting to hear if you won. And Sherry, I've never seen someone look so nervous. She was shaking
Sherry's
back and
always
forth,
nervous.
her head was like between her knees. She was like, "Oh my god!" And when they announced you, she got up so fast, and it was just like, wow. I wonder what that feeling was like, even as just like the significant other. But she does it a lot. I feel like. But
Yeah, she's pretty.
I also think Sherry's the boss. Like, she is the boss. So
Yeah, we know she is.
yeah,
Yeah, she says
is.
jump. I say how high.
that makes sense. Don't blame you.
So So, Emma,
So, yeah.
what have you been ordering on DoorDash lately?
Oh, so we're getting into that. Actually, I haven't ordered on DoorDash since Sunday, so I'm doing pretty good.
Whoa, that's like 3 days.
I know. Actually, it might even have been Saturday. I'm not gonna lie. No, it was Sunday, and it was Taco Bell, which I'm not not proud of. But their crunch wraps are so good, and I'm too lazy to make them myself, even though I know they're not very hard to make yourself. So yeah, that's really
help
been
me
it on
underst-
DoorDash.
So help me understand. How
Cooking
far
in
is
like
Taco Bell
barbecue or
from your
you
house? How far is Taco Bell from your house?
probably 10 minutes. But it had a
Is
$0
that like
delivery fee.
is that like
and
the
their
is
prices
that like
what
is that like
Taco
the
Bell
ultimate
doesn't have that.
laziness?
Hey, we are not calling me
Is
out
that
on
like
this
the
right
ult-
now.
No, I'm just
No.
trying to understand. Like always, I'm trying to get in the younger person's mind.
Okay, so here's what happened. I was at home in my pajamas hanging out with my dog and just, didn't want to leave my house. So I and it was after the Hawks game, so I'd already been out. I went to a friend's to watch the Hawks game. Already been out, was kind of sad, so I was like, I'm just gonna order something because I don't want to leave again. So I just ordered. They have a $0 delivery fee, and they don't up their prices, so their prices are the same if I would have gone through the drive-thru or not. So I spent
Really?
the same amount of money either way. Yeah, they're and I added a couple of dollars because of DoorDash fees and a tip, but I only added probably
Wow.
$3 or $4. Yeah, it's my favorite place to order DoorDash just because it's pretty much the
That's
same.
crazy. That's crazy that they eat the DoorDash. Fee.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know how they did it. But yeah, they don't up their
Maybe they
their
don't.
prices
Maybe
too
they
much.
don't know.
I don't know. Do you think that? I don't know. Or they're just strategic and they can afford not
They
to.
probably got a national. They probably got a national contract with DoorDash, so
They
probably
probably do.
getting something cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah, because I spent probably $10 getting. I got a Supreme Crunch Wrap, and then a Doritos Locos Tacos and a drink, and then I paid the service fee. So I probably $10 or $11 total, and that's pretty much what it would have been if I would have gone through the
12,
drive-thru.
13.
No, it was about 11. Which, and I'm surprised
Including
because I
tip?
didn't have a small. Yeah, no, not including tip. So 12, 11, or 12 or 13. Well, I like to be nice.
So this is new math. This is new
Yeah.
math. Oh, I'm not saying you shouldn't tip.
No,
I'm
no,
just-
you should
your
tip. Everybody tip your
$10
drivers.
Is really probably $10 bucks
Darren-
is probably $15 if you show me the receipt.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. If for any DoorDashers listening to our podcast, if you see Darren Worth's name pop up, pick up that order because there's a good fat chance he tips you well because he wants his food hot.
Oh,
And he's
the-
broken. He knows the system.
I do know.
We're
I
in
know
it.
this. I know the secret. My minimum tip, and I've only DoorDash like 3 times in my life, right? And
Right.
just really to test the system more than anything. And
Which you
and
broke
I
it.
figured out this whole tip thing is, it's like, so I mean I'll tip minimum $10, sometimes $20.
Yeah.
Just stupid. I'll have a $20 order and tip $20 just as a game to see how fast and hot this food will be. It's never failed me. And their whole people, we have DoorDash and other delivery services at the restaurants. And one thing, if we could put out there, is, hey, it's all about tipping the driver, because they're going to go through, and if it's a difficult order and it's going to take them a long time, they're going to get paid $2. Right?
Yeah.
And so it's not worth their time. So if it's over a mile, they're not going to take your order. And so your order gets flopped, flop, flop, flop. And all of a sudden, you wonder why your food's cold. It's not because the restaurant made cold food. It's because it sat there because no driver wanted to pick it up because it wasn't financially
Worth
smart
it.
for them to do
Which-
that.
Which, and the last couple of, I think it's been months, right? DoorDash has changed their system, so Dashers are getting paid. They can set up their own hours. They're getting paid by the hour now, aren't they?
If
Isn't that a
they
thing
want.
we
So
found out?
it's only
Yeah,
either
if they-
or, though, as I understand
Oh,
it. So,
okay.
So
Um,
if you get paid by the
and-
hour, then you're not getting a tip. And if you're want to play the tip game, you're not due per hour. But if you're getting by the hour, then you're kind of a forced dispatch, if you will. So that
Yeah.
helps. That's helped their system overall. But I'm just here to
Yeah.
tell you,
I agree.
if you want good hot food, tip a lot.
Yeah, tip a lot. And yeah, DoorDash is. I was doing really well. I had taken a break from DoorDash, but then the price of groceries went up a lot, and it's just easier for me to DoorDash or go pick up my food, but not through DoorDash. Hey, also listeners, tip: if you're gonna
See, I
pick
don't
up,
even-
just go look at the website and try to pick up through their website before you pick up through DoorDash. It will save you at least $8, probably more. That was a
Well,
weird
it's
number
at
to throw
least,
out.
yeah.
But-
I mean, you think about
Yeah.
what we do with the ordinary chicken and the Crafty Mac. We have
Yeah.
to mark up our orders 30% from the time we get paid from DoorDash to get the same exact thing. We have to mark it up 30%. So we mark up our DoorDash orders 30%. Well, if you go to pickup, it charges you 30% more, and we're like, well, just go to our website and order, and it's going to pay
Yeah.
30% less.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, smart.
there's a
I'd
DoorDash
rather
tip for
I'd rather just
all you people.
I'd rather just cook by. I just, me, I love
Yeah.
to cook.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you cooking lately? Got anything good?
Well, I
What'd
went
you do for
back
dinner
to,
last night?
Went back to authentic Puerto Rican red beans and rice.
Hey, that never fails.
So, and then of course it'd been like 2 or 3 days since I had a pork chop, and Sherry wanted a pork chop, and we had these tornado warnings coming through and rain and hail,
Right.
and here I am
Yeah.
out. I'm cooking a pork chop, and it got in just in time, even though I'm under a covered patio, but it just got it done just in time. So the deluge happened, but now I've kind of got this. I'm trying huli chicken.
Isn't
and
that?
I've-
Yeah. You
I've never tried.
have been
it.
talking about that. It's a TikTok
So I'm
thing, right?
finally. No, huli isn't even
Oh.
a TikTok thing, which is where most of my
Oh.
recipe ideas come from.
thought you
Huli,
had
I
said
don't
it
know.
was.
I found huli chicken. Never had it. I'm not even sure I'm gonna like it, but it's a long marinade of chicken thighs in kind of almost a teriyaki. So pineapple juice, soy sauce,
Mm-hmm.
ketchup, has brown sugar in it, a little garlic, a little ginger. So I mixed up that marinade last night and put the chicken thighs in it. I've been turning it, so last night before I went to bed, I flipped it over in the Ziploc bag, and then going to grill it off tonight. Not sure what I'm going to, I just love the red beans and rice, so I don't know. I might have some leftover red beans and rice if you don't eat them.
Yeah.
I may
we'll have to
some in
find
my
out.
car.
For me?
Maybe.
Really? I've been waiting to get on this list. Darren, every couple employees, Darren will be like, "Hey, I made this. I have leftovers. Do you want it?" Been waiting to get on the list. I've asked numerous times, like, "Hey, you gonna bring me any leftovers?" I don't
Yeah,
cook.
Jim
I'm
got
probably
it.
the only.
Jim got half of pecan pie yesterday.
Oh, I don't like pecan pie. That's okay.
Okay.
But, yeah, I don't. I'm probably one of the only employees at a barbecue restaurant that does not cook for themselves, ever.
Yeah.
But I also
Maybe,
support our
maybe
business a
not.
lot. I'm pretty close.
Which is good.
Um,
Which is good. Yeah, yesterday
Yeah.
I played around with a little crispy chicken salad. I got asked twice yesterday morning. People asked me, "Hey, why don't you have a crispy chicken salad?" I'm like, "Well, that's kind of weird. I got salads and I've got chicken tenders that I could
I
cut
thought
up
we
and put on
did.
top of salad." No, we don't. So it was actually, I tried it yesterday. It's really good. Now I just got to figure out a way to get it up on the menu boards and
Hard
market
menu
it and
board?
get the price and all that other good stuff.
Well, I'll do the marketing part. But
Okay.
that's pretty much my job. But I can't They don't pay me for that?
What?
That's what I do. You said, oh, as if that wasn't my job.
Oh.
Well, guys,
No.
this might be my last episode from the sounds of it.
Yeah. No, because I don't know how to run the software, so you're still hired.
That's true. That's true. Takes us an extra 10 to 15 minutes before we hit record to get Darren's audio set up. And he's tech savvy, which is the
Tech savvy,
hard
but
part.
my location's always changing.
Yeah. Yeah. Today you're actually in an office.
That's probably the hard part. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Not mine. I don't have an office, but
Yeah.
okay.
'Cause
What
he's-
else?
Like a free spirit.
Anything else? That's all that's on my mind.
Yeah. Your food? Barbecue competitions and food? That sounds about right. That's what's on pretty
Barbecue
much on his mind
competitions
most
and
of the time.
food.
Oh, what-
Yeah, I mean my
So-
TikTok feed's pretty boring lately.
as of lately. Ours aren't the same, so
Yeah.
might not be as
Yeah,
interesting
we have
to
a
you.
big yeah. My TikTok feed
Yours
is
is
pretty much
really food-based. Which I need to scroll through
kind of.
our TikTok pages, all the restaurant TikTok pages, to get some food inspiration too. Some ideas
Yeah,
on
my
what to record and how to record
my
it.
TikTok is pretty much food,
Mine's Yeah.
heavily influenced Hispanic. I get a lot of Hispanic homemade tortillas and that type stuff, which I just love
'Cause you talk
anyway.
yeah.
And
'Cause you talk
crypto,
about
there's
it
a lot
around
of
your
crypto
phone.
stuff on there. Yep, yeah, I know. Everybody's
Surprise, surprise.
talking to.
They're
did you
always
hear me?
listening.
Talking
Always
about
listening.
crypto, and then sometimes there's a lot of women's yoga on my TikTok too, and I have no idea why, but there's a lot of women
Because
in yoga posts.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
I think it's because all
probably
I
liked
think-
one.
I think it's because all my
and
I think it's because all my barbecue friends keep sending me yoga poses on TikTok. I think it's
I
picking
could-
that up.
we could unpack that, but I don't think
We're
we
not
should put
going
our
to.
listeners through that. No, I don't. I don't think I want to go through that. But
Right.
yeah, I think that's all I have. I actually, feel like I've learned quite a lot about the barbecue competitions, because you always talk about them, but you never really talk in depth. It's just like, oh yeah, I did okay. That's nice. Or sometimes if you do really well, I'll get a text that's like, hey, you have to post this. Okay,
Right.
will do.
Oh, about
but
time for one of those
I've learned
posts, didn't
quite
it?
Yeah, whenever you're ready. They do
Yeah,
they do well.
I'll-
So
I'll try harder. I'll try harder.
it sounds like we have maybe the end of April, 2 or 3 weeks. We'll see.
Okay.
Got to put it out.
Sounds
to the
like a
world.
deal.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that was it for this episode of Cue the Mic.
All right.
What do you think,
We'll
boss?
catch up with you later. We're out of here.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Okay. See ya.